So tell me, what happened after the crash?
When I came out of the escape pod, I grabbed the engine fuel cores and took a look at my surroundings. This place was, unusual, but it seemed like there was no immediate threats, so I started walking in search of civilization. I heard it before I saw it. Immediately, I started to run in the opposite direction as the helicopter fired at me. Luckily, the pilot did seem to be having some trouble getting control of it. I figured my best chance to lose the helicopter was to just run into the first cave I found, and wait to see if it would just go away. Is it gone yet? After a few minutes, I went back to the surface and watched as the helicopter, seemingly having lost interest in me, just left. This is when I had my first encounter with an alien. I'm just gonna keep a safe distance and pretend they're not there. I gathered what supplies I could, and realising it was about to get dark, headed into the cave to stay there the night, since I definitely did not want to get stuck outside with the aliens and zombies, and who knows what other monsters. Turns out that the cave wasn't actually that big, and was filled with dead ends, so I decided it would be a perfect place to use for shelter. I spent the night mining and smelting iron, only going outside a few times to grab water. Going into the second day, I made myself a nice iron sword and a bucket to drag water inside the cave, so I wouldn't have to keep going out for water in the night. I spent the rest of the day hunting and gathering some supplies, but just as the sun set... Wait, a blood moon? Oh no. It was a good job that I'd blocked off the entrance to the cave, because the sounds coming from outside the cave definitely did not sound very encouraging. I don't know why I did this, but at one point I thought, you know what would be a good idea? Going outside to take a look. Instantly a zombie pigman came through the hole attacking me. Luckily, I managed to kill it, and it even dropped its diamond sword for me. I had to deal with one more zombie before I was able to seal the hole up and go back to mining. When day came, I attempted to go back outside. Yeah, it really did not go the way I had planned. So, I came up with a new idea. I'd just go around and dig a new exit. Yeah, that also didn't work, and a baby zombie dropped in, which scared me away. Eventually, I got back to the surface, and immediately went to collect some flowers, sand, and gravel, the reason for which will become clear soon. Going back to the cave, I used my new materials to make some grey concrete. You see, I had decided if I was going to survive on this planet, I would have to follow in the Americans' example, and create their solution to all problems. Guns. Unfortunately, I needed some more iron first, so went back to mining and boiled some water to get purified water, which didn't make me sick when I drank it. It was then that I decided I wanted a rain collector so I could have a supply of clean water, but that also needed iron, so back down into the mines I went. While in my mining tunnel, I could hear skeletons through the wall, which could only have meant there was some sort of cave there. Instead of a simple cave, I found a dungeon and a skeleton spawner, but luckily, before they could kill me, some of the skeletons accidentally hit each other, leading to a fight that ended with a creeper blowing up, taking out the spawner and one of the chests with it. On the fourth day after my crash, I went deeper into the tunnels connected to the dungeon, since I desperately needed more iron. Realising just how low on food I was, I made a hoe and planted the melon seeds from the dungeon. Finally, I had enough iron to make my first gun and ammo, and admittedly, the gun was slightly overpowered against most enemies. While mining, I came across this cute little guy. You know, I probably would have left him, but he had this shiny crystal on his back, and well, one thing led to another. But hey, at least I got a diamond out of it, right? I'm not proud to admit this, but while I waited for my melons to grow, my food situation was so bad that I actually ate some rotten flesh. Early day 5, I went outside again and started to hunt for animals, but mainly only found ones that had already been infested by some sort of parasites. While hunting off in the distance, I saw a temple buried in the sand, so went to check it out. You know, I thought I was being smart when I mined my way into the loot room and removed the TNT. But clearly I was not paying attention because a bloody alien dropped down through the roof and started attacking me while I was sorting out my inventory. Almost killed me too, especially with its acid blood, but I just barely got away with half a heart. Loot-wise, the temple was just alright. I got a fair bit of gunpowder I could use to make bullets, and a bunch of the same sword called the Ender, and some bones. But the best part were the 2 golden apples. I ate one as I left the temple to replenish my health, and that definitely was a good idea, because on my way back, the helicopter from when I first landed came out of nowhere again. Run away, run away! I did actually get hit slightly by some of the explosions from its missiles. This person really wanted me dead. Using some trees for cover, I managed to lose the pilot and return to my cave. When I got back, I planted some seeds, then was off again, this time in search of wool, so I could make a bed. Despite looking for a pretty long time, I couldn't find any. When I got back to the cave, I went mining again, and this time found myself some nice gold that I could use to make shotgun shells. Before sunrise, I also made a rain collector. Day 6, I went back to my mine, but was attacked by a parasite pig. No idea how I got all the way to the bottom of the mine, but it was the least of my issues, since as I ventured deeper, I came across fire-shooting magma things. Deciding I didn't want to get burnt alive, I went back up and made myself a shotgun, a bunch of ammo, and a full set of iron armour, before going outside and placing the rain collector. By using bottles on this rain collector, I could get clean water whenever it rained. I spent the rest of the day out hunting mobs. Even managed to kill myself an alien and steal its legs for armour. I spent the rest of the day mining, but before I got to my mine, this guy was waiting for me. Yeah, no idea how he managed to spawn here, but he was little problem for my shotgun. The real concern was that parasites were starting to get into my base, and I just had no idea how. I spent all of day 7 and a good part of day 8 mining. Found myself some diamonds and had some run-ins for parasite stuff and lava monsters, then came back up. Really did not do anything interesting these 2 days. On day 9, I used those diamonds I had found to make myself a new diamond pickaxe, and almost had a run-in with a mutant enderman. Decided I didn't want to risk getting brutally and easily murdered, so I gave up on mining and went to get some ink. But came back just before the blood moon began. It was on this day that I decided I'd better get around to using the sync engines from my crash shuttle to make some cloning technology. The problem was, to carry the machine that made the clones, I needed a treadmill, and the treadmill needed quartz. And the only place I could get quartz was from my crashed escape pod. Yeah, this was kind of a running theme with the cloning technology. I really did struggle to get it working. So first thing on day 10, I went out and grabbed as much quartz blocks from my pod as possible, and used some string to make some wool carpets for the treadmill. The only other thing I did on day 10 was make myself a forge hammer. Day 11 was the start of a multiple day quest that almost drove me insane. You see, I couldn't just turn the quartz blocks straight into quartz, cause that would be too easy. Instead, I needed a machine called a macerator, and that machine needed a further generator to power it, and one of the key components for those machines required rubber to make. The only way to get rubber was from relatively rare rubber trees. So I went out looking everywhere for some. I thought it would take a few minutes. Instead, it took a few days. I found a grave at one point, which I may or may not have robbed. Also found these dudes. They were the first example of sentient, non-dead, or parasitic, or alien life I had found. Well, except for that damn helicopter. Anyway, they tried to kill me, probably planning to eat me, so I just murdered them all. Also ran into these giant spiders that also tried to kill me. Kind of a theme here. As night fell, I promised myself I wouldn't go home until I found one of those trees, so I crossed the desert south of my cave. As the sun rose on day 12, I was still looking for rubber trees, and found where I think one of those small mast guys came from. But apparently their leader could call in some kind of orbital bombardment or some other deadly attack, so I immediately backed off and let them be. Spent half the day looking for rubber trees before finally finding some. Got to tell you, I was really relieved to find these trees. If I hadn't found any, my plans would have just been impossible. Even got myself a tree sapling that I immediately planted when I got back, giving me a constant supply of sap that I could then turn into rubber. Decided to build an extractor and generator to get more rubber from rubber wood. Yeah, I'd completely forgotten why I'd gone to all that trouble in the first place. Which I remembered on day 13, when I finally made a macerator and started processing the quartz. Now that I had quartz, I built a treadmill and went out to find myself something to run on it. I was hoping for a pig, but I found a wolf instead, and you know what? You know what I found next to the wolf? A rubber tree. Literally on the hill across from my base. Slightly annoyed, I tamed the wolf and brought it all the way back, but it just wouldn't go on the treadmill. Literally spent all of day 14 either mining or looking for a pig, but all I could find were infected ones. On day 15, however, while still in the search of pigs, I found a village not far from my base, in a direction that I hadn't checked yet. Would have been great if there wasn't just this beast of a zombie guarding it. Dude took up a lot of bullets and seemed to summon more zombie villagers, but eventually I managed to put him down. I got a nice hammer from it. Unfortunately, the village was completely empty, no life whatsoever. All I found was a single note. My love, they say that you are dead, that those things dragged you away to devour you, but they are wrong. They have to be wrong. A small group of survivors from another village passed through here earlier, speaking of a safe zone up north. Apparently the Men of Iron are now trying to help us. They even have an evacuation plan. Those of us that are left are leaving at dawn. Even if this place isn't real, we just can't stay here anymore. I wonder if they made it there in the end. I'll have to go and check it out at some point. I figured since everyone was either dead or gone, they wouldn't mind if I borrowed their crops. On the way back, something odd happened. Well, more odd than anything else in the past 15 days. There was a tent opposite the entrance to my cave. I hadn't put it there. Curious, I decided to check out the surrounding area, where I would end up being attacked and almost killed. When I did enter back home, there was something wrong. Wait, I didn't put that there. I searched the cave, but there was no sign of anyone else there. This definitely made me develop more of a trigger finger. The next day, I wanted to see if a wild wolf would work on the treadmill, so I got myself a boat and went out to find a wolf. When I did find one, getting it back was far harder than I imagined, since there were zombies everywhere. To make it worse, when I did get one into the cave, it was all for nothing. No! I went out to try once again, but there was a blood moon, and I barely got back without being swarmed. Spent the night making bronze and a wrench, while listening to the sounds of fighting outside. First thing I did on day 17 was go out and loot the remains from the blood moon. I spent the day looking for a pig when something happened. I ran all the way back to my cave and blocked myself in. I had no idea whether this was related to the helicopter and the note, but considering they wanted to kill me, it seemed safe to assume so. Did actually end up going back outside that day and getting another wolf, but it also didn't want to go on the treadmill, so I ended up just taming it, realising that I probably needed a pig for the treadmill. When the sun came up, I headed past the village from earlier, to the furthest from the cave I had ever been. On the way, I gathered some sugarcane to make books with, when I saw a group of horses. A herd of horses? I don't know. Anyway, there was a whole lot of them. More animals in one place than I had ever seen on this planet. You see, ever since I had landed, the world had gotten more and more deadly, with stronger threats appearing more frequently. Some of them even were changing the world, and that's before you even account for the person trying to kill me. But this field, this one field, there was seemingly still life, untouched. And you know what? There were pigs. Finally, after all this time, I had found pigs. I used the carrot to try and get them back, but with all the enemies around and night falling, it was going to be a challenge. So I managed to get to one of the houses at the village and wait out the night. As soon as the sun rose, I began leading the pig back to my cave. Don't tell Peter, but my only plans for the pig was to make it run for me. Trying to get the pig onto the treadmill was more difficult than I had anticipated. So I decided that for now I would give up and see if I could make myself a tunnel bore, and then come back to the pig when I had made a lead. On my 20th day stranded on the planet, I got myself a bunch of clay to make coke ovens with. Since coal coke would be extremely useful for the generators powering my machinery, Spent the entire day getting a blast furnace up and running to make steel, and gathering more iron. The blast furnace would let me turn iron ore into steel for the tunnel bore. Only problem was it was incredibly slow and needed its own heater. Really did not do much the next 3 days. I decided I would go on day 25 to see where those villagers went. So I spent my time gathering resources and making machines like a heater to help the blast furnace. I definitely did not die on day 23 and lose a lot of my stuff. Oh, and then a completely unrelated incident, my wolves were killed. With all of the new bullets and food I had made the previous 4 days, on day 25 I set out to discover what had happened to those villagers. Before I left, I also made myself an atlas so I could keep track of where I had been. And this thing was really useful, helped me mark everywhere I'd been and what biomes they were. Right, well, the place is apparently 1,500 blocks north of here. Only 1,500 blocks north of here. This isn't going to go well. Surprisingly, the desert was filled with aliens, but I managed to navigate across it without too much hassle. After crossing the desert, I found some sheep that I killed, then continued on into the Mesa. Well, I found some kind of collapsed mine? Well, I guess these tracks could come in handy later. I spent the majority of the night just walking through the Mesa, until I came to a small mountain where I holed up for the night. As soon as the sun rose, I was back to travelling, but turns out I was much closer to where I was going than I thought. You know, I'm not really too sure what I was expecting. I had hoped that maybe there was someone alive, that maybe these men of iron could actually help me. I was wrong. Well, the place looks pretty empty. Wait, what is that? Whatever it was, it definitely did not look friendly, with it clearly having a weapon out, and I really did not want to run the risk of dying, so I shot and killed it. The dude dropped some sort of gun and a glowing item that had schematics on it. It seemed like this place was some sort of military camp, with 3 metal circular buildings, a tent and a wooden hut. Clearly, there had been some sort of fight, since there were holes in the walls. The tent and 2 of the buildings were empty, but the 3rd metal building had a single infected guy inside of it. I decided to check the lockers where I found a supply of alcohol. I decided to keep that for later, and I also found another note. It's over. For 3 weeks we've held this position, and sheltered as many survivors from the local population as we could. Our orders were to avoid contact with the locals, and to kill anyone who got too close to the observation facility. I am writing this in the hope that there is still someone out there who can stop this. It all started with that damn spaceship. When it landed here, we ran a scan of it to try and find out who owned it, but nothing came up. Following protocol, a team was sent in to destroy the ship. That's when things went wrong. All I know is that we lost contact with the team early on, and not long after, all of these aliens and parasite-like creatures started to spread across the world. They just spread so fast. We were ordered by the facility administrator to follow protocol. We could not intervene under any circumstance, but many of us just couldn't sit back and watch these people die. So, we stole what vehicles and weapons we could, and set up this camp. We genuinely thought we could survive long enough for a rescue team to come. Problem was, the emergency broadcast beacon we brought with us was broken when the facility staff shot at us as we left. Although, even if it didn't break, it would have taken months or years for a ship to pick up the signal and get to us. If you are reading this, the only places on this entire world that have beacons capable of broadcasting off-world are the facility where I came from, or possibly the alien ship. While I was never filled in on the precise location of the ship, I can give you the location of the facility. Be warned, the facility staff will shoot to kill, and will be on high alert. I can hear the screaming outside. It won't be long until they find me. Good luck. While I still had a lot of questions, the pieces of the puzzle were beginning to come together for me. Only one last building left to check. Well, I guess we know what happened to the survivors then. Since everyone was clearly dead, I looted the camp for supplies. But there was only a handful of ammo, Doritos and some other food. Immediately, I made my way back, and I may or may not have had some alcohol. As I was crossing the desert on my way back on day 27, I found the remains of a dead alien, the legs and head of which I took for armour. What I came back to at my base was a worrying sight. The infection seemed to have spread more and more into the ground. I should probably do something about this, but I got so much stuff, I'll just deal with this later. Admittedly, that was one of the biggest mistakes I made on the planet, since leaving the infection definitely came back to haunt me. When I got inside, I sorted out my storage and finally built a bed. Yep, 27 days and had not built a bed yet. Been sleeping on the cave floor. I decided to leave going to the facility mentioned in the note since A, it sounded like I needed more gear, and B, it was very far away. So far in fact that it would logistically be easier to make a helicopter, but I had other priorities. On day 28, I decided that my steel production was way too slow, so I built a second blast furnace and heater, as well as an auto miner. The miner could only dig straight down, so it wasn't too useful, but I figured I could use it in an advanced miner at some point maybe. All of that took up day 28, so on day 29 I made myself a mining drill. The great thing about this is that it basically works the same as a pickaxe, but instead of breaking, it runs out of power. So as long as you can keep powering it, the drill can be used infinitely. Originally, I put the drill in the miner, but quickly decided to take it for myself, even if I forgot about it most of the time. Still, nowhere near satisfied with my rate of steel production, I built a third blast furnace and even more fluid cells to put air in it. I decided that while the guns I currently had were good, I wanted something that was more designed for killing alien life forms. So I got about to building the assembler. Only problem was that everything to do with the assembler was extremely expensive. I mean, look at this! So many different individual pieces to it. On a side note, I had some trouble getting parts of the mod working with other mods, so I was forced to tweak one of the component recipes. While I was at it, I also changed any recipe needing glowstone dust to instead needing a single blaze rod, and a few other recipes that required dimension-specific stuff. I also made it so that refined storage silicon would work with alien silicon, since I couldn't go to the other dimensions. The blaze rod was fine, since I could get blaze powder off the magma guys, since I edited their spawns. Honestly, I think this is okay, since I can't go to the nether. But it took me all day to get all the different parts I needed, and eventually, after a lot of work, I crafted an assembler. At this point, I thought, you know, it's getting late, I better grab myself some wood before it goes completely dark. Turns out, while I was in my cave working away, outside the infection had spread more, and now more powerful parasites were appearing. When I went outside, I was quickly forced back inside. The next day, I went and geared up and went back out in an attempt to clean up the area around my base. And just like the night before, it failed instantly. I couldn't even go a few blocks outside my cave without risking being killed. So I stayed inside and kept working on building stuff with the assembler. I spent most of that day and a good part of day 31 killing magma monsters for blaze powder. Using my compressor in the machine room, I could turn 5 blaze powder into a single blaze rod that I then used to make an incinerator. I would have gone straight back into the mines to kill more magma monsters if I didn't realise I finally had enough steel to make a tunnel bore. I still needed more steel to make a bore head, so I spent days 32 and 33 waiting on that, but I did also make a metal roller to make tracks with. Finally on day 44 I started the tunnel bore. This thing was brilliant, as long as I kept it fueled, replenished its tracks, and replaced the bore head every now and again. It would keep digging a 3x3 area ahead of it. I could even connect minecart chests to it using a crowbar, and it would put anything it mined into them. If I gave the thing gravel, it would use it to cover any gaps. I spent most of the day following it in the mine, to make sure it worked properly. But when I came back upstairs, I was met with bad news. Wait, it's in my cave now too? That's right, the infestation was now spreading into my cave, and I decided enough was enough. So on day 35, I grabbed all my ammo and went outside. Now, I'm not saying I died here, since then how could I be telling this to you, but for simplicity, let's just say I was very badly hurt. It was then that I realised that maybe it was too late. But not wanting to lose my base, I came up with what was, in hindsight, an awful plan. I left my cave and headed all the way back to the mountains near the military base. It literally took me into the early hours of day 36. Why did I go all the way out there? For snow. I grabbed a few blocks worth, then ran all the way back to my base again, where I built some snowmen which I had hoped would, clear out the infection. Instead, they were all killed off pretty quickly, after achieving what was essentially nothing. Realising how badly I had messed up, I went back into my cave and spent the entire next day making ammo and supplies. In the early hours of day 38, I was in the mine collecting gravel and coal for my tunnel bore, while also following it to collect any ore that it might have missed. There was a small incident on the tracks of a creeper that encouraged me to go back up. When I got back into my cave, I made myself a pulse rifle, perfect for killing aliens. While each bullet doesn't do much damage, it has an insanely high rate of fire, and can shoot normal and flame grenades from it. Now that I had some explosives and new weapons on my side, I decided it was time to go and kill another one of those predators I had seen at the military camp. I had realised that I needed another one of those artefacts it had dropped if I wanted to make use of their equipment. So I headed back to the mountains once again. Just as I left, I got a good view of just how far the infection had spread into the nearby desert. I spent all of day 39 travelling and looking for another predator, but I didn't find any. Early on day 40, however, I did finally come across a swamp. And you know what lives in swamps? Slimes. And you know what slime balls can be used for? Leads. And leads can be used to force animals onto treadmills. I made a note of the swamp and decided I would come back at nightfall. Next to the swamp there were some defiled lands, where I found this weird tower thing. Unfortunately it did not seem to have any loot. Eventually, night came and I headed back to the swamp to get my hands on some slime. I spent the rest of the night killing as many things in the swamp as I could. The next day, I decided to bring the slimes back to base and come back to the mountains another time, because I really didn't want to lose the slime balls. First thing I did when I got back was dismantle the cloning equipment and move it to a new room deeper into the cave, since my previous cloning room was already having problems with the infestation. Once I got it there, I moved the pig onto the treadmill using a lead and gave the clone constructor a DNA sample. The great thing about creating clone bodies is that I can just sit frozen in a storage shell and remotely control my clone body, meaning I can die as many times as I want, and my consciousness will be transferred back into my new body, or another clone. I'd been working on getting the cloning technology working since around day 9, so I was pretty happy when it was finally working. By the next day, my clone was ready, so I put all my stuff in a chest and transferred myself into my new clone. Good thing too, because when I went into my mine, I was instantly killed. Yeah, turns out the infection had gotten pretty deep underground, and now these guys were in the tunnels. And when I transferred bodies, I may or may not have forgotten to put my armour back on. So in my main body, I grabbed an axe and went back into the tunnel to get my stuff back. Yeah, I even had to kill my infected clone. On day 43, my new clone wasn't ready yet, so I went out to look for a predator once again. It took almost all day, but I eventually found one that dropped a shuriken, which stopped working after I threw it. It also dropped another artifact, which is what I was looking for. The next day, I got back to base and immediately made myself a wrist bracer, using the schematics on the Predator artifacts. The wrist bracer allowed me to make full use of the shoulder gun I had got when I killed my first Predator. This was just what I needed. It had decent range, extremely good damage, and it didn't take any ammo. So I went outside to fight some infected. I even fought into the beginning of a blood moon, but decided I better not risk dying, so went back inside. Oh, by the way, did I mention the wrist bracer also had a built-in nuke? My cave had started to become very green, so I used cobblestone to replace as many infected blocks as I could. Yeah, It didn't look good, but at least parasites couldn't grow out of it, and the infection blocks couldn't spread onto it. Going into the next day, I decided it was time to make myself a helicopter. It was about time, really. Travelling long distance on the ground was getting harder and harder by the day, since the parasitic infection seemed to just be spreading everywhere. As I said earlier, the coordinates I got from the military outpost were pretty far away, so a helicopter was vital. So, I swapped into my clone body and went to work making workbenches for a helicopter. The helicopter and its individual parts weren't actually all that expensive. It was the workbenches and wrench that actually cost a lot of iron. I went outside to get some wood, and my clone was one shot by this giant spider dude. By late day 46, the only thing that I still needed was fuel. Now, other vehicles had different types of fuel that could be gotten from different machines. But the helicopters, for whatever reason, ran off of lava. Yeah, because I'm sure the number one thing you want in an engine when in the air is lava. So I went back into the now deeply infested caves to get some lava that I stored in fuel pumps. With all the parts for the helicopter ready, on day 47 I began preparing the weapons and ammo that I would take with me. Made myself a nice new assault rifle and a scope for it, then went out and killed some squids. The next day, I got bored, so decided to head south past the infested desert to see if I could find anywhere to loot. Remember those small guys? The ones who, when I went near their village, their leader summoned rays of light at me? Well, turns out all of them were killed by the parasites. So I cleared the parasites out and looted the village for its hay. Then I continued further through the next desert and travelled into the night. Spent all of day 49 getting ready for my big trip on day 50. Mainly ran fuel from the cave to the helicopter and made myself some tactical armour, since my alien and iron armour had gotten pretty beaten up by this point. And so, on day 50, I took off in the helicopter. This thing was not the easiest to control. There were also a bunch of buttons and I had to work out what they did as I was flying. Eventually, I found what I was looking for. 2 landing pads on top of a mountain. After a few attempts, I managed to land. Then made my way into the facility itself. Okay then, let us see what's in here. I'm not really too sure what to expect. I mean, the note made it sound like I'm gonna get shot at, so let's be careful. This is going pretty deep. Okay. Right, should I be worried? Probably. Here we are. What the? Okay, what the hell is this? Kill it. Okay. Okay, that's the egg. Okay, at least I can destroy the eggs. Let's reload before we go in here. Alright, looks like this place collapsed. I mean, this is in a mountain, so it's not too unreasonable. Another one. Oh god. Okay. Luckily, does not seem like they can open my gun. And they turn into parasites. Huh? Is this a, like, viewing room, or... Okay, let's not go in there again. Another collapsed tunnel, huh? Weird. Some sort of... crab. Okay. Right, let's check out this room. Ooh, cookies. Yes. Well, that helps with food. Huh. I can hear thunder. What the? Okay. They do seem to drop eggs when they... Okay, let's check out this area. Is that a... Wait. Yep, that is a skeleton dinosaur. Okay. What? Okay. No idea what that is. And those are... They look like raptors. Okay, let's just leave that room. And... What is this? Can I... Can't be hit. I'm gonna leave it. Okay, these look like some sort of... spiders? Once again, really not too sure. Let us continue this way. That looked like some sort of medical lab, another collapsed tunnel, okay. What's in here? Hazmat suit? Stun grenade, that might come in handy. Can I? Yes! That's quite cool. That could be quite useful. That's good. It's only been 50 days. Is this Okay, this looks like some sort of computer room or control room. Another collapsed tunnel. I'm guessing that goes to back through there. Maybe there's something in between. I'm not sure. Huh. A note. Facility 24. Report 753. Facility has been compromised. Containment cannot be followed. At 0532, a Class 4 anomaly was detected and quickly manifested in the reactor vent shaft. Power was immediately taken down, but backup generators kicked in after several seconds. Response teams were quickly mobilised to eliminate the target and reactivate the reactor, but were unsuccessful. Multiple subjects, including Subject 053, have escaped confinement and are causing large amounts of damage around the facility, leading to the collapse of multiple tunnels. The death of all remaining personnel, including myself, is certain. Without primary power, and with damage being caused to backup reactors, portal and communication beacon is offline. Self-destruct protocols were attempted, but Class 4 anomaly seems to have consumed primary explosives. The appearance of a Class 4 anomaly capable of getting past all protection equipment is worrying. While I cannot be certain, I am of the belief it may be linked to a spaceship that landed here several weeks ago. Since its arrival, several subjects have displayed unease and unusual agitation. When service response teams arrive, it is my recommendation as facility administrator that the facility is fully destroyed. It is also my recommendation that further teams are sent to destroy the spaceship at 1617, 67, -6369. Long live the service. Okay, that's, worrying, I guess. I better go and see... I'm gonna guess this is gonna take me to where I need to go, considering this is the only other place I can go. More collapsed tunnels. What the hell is that? I better not get too close to the edge. I really do not want to fall down, because that thing looks like it could rip me apart easily. Yeah, let's just, let's leave that. What the... Okay. This entire place is really creeping me out. I've not seen anything like this before. I mean, look at that guy's leg. I better put him out of his misery. Yeah, let's finish him. Yeah. Quite a few bullets to kill. Okay, so that's a reactor. No idea what these pipes are. But that is a radiation box, so I better change my outfit to that hazmat suit we grabbed. I'm guessing. Yep. Just like I thought. Okay. That should turn the reactor on. Which means if I go upstairs, I should now be able to get beacon. Let's change first.
Even think about it.
Okay, look. I won't take my gun out. Please, please just do not shoot me.
Warned you. I told you to stay the hell away from me.
Wait, you're the one that's been trying to kill me? But why?
Tane, I have to contain it. Can't leave this planet. If they do, the galaxy is doomed.
Look, I just restarted the main reactor. We can use the facility's beacon to call for help.
Oh, I destroyed the beacon. No one can ever know what happened. I have no choice.
Okay then. Oh god, run! Ow! Okay, come on. That was close. Okay. On day 51, I finally got back to base. Leaving the stolen helicopter outside with all the parasites really did not seem like a good idea, so I dismantled it and left it in the vehicle making room in the cave. Afterwards, I went to check on the miner, but it didn't really get anything good. I wasn't too sure what to do next, so I returned to the Defile lands because I thought I might as well dismantle the escape pod completely, and that gave me an idea. You see, the way that I had handled storage so far was that I would just keep putting double chests near the entrance. I hadn't even bothered to organise them. When one was almost full, I would just build another. Sometimes I just built more even when I had plenty of storage. This was an utter mess, and being near the main entrance was at risk of being destroyed. My solution? Using the quartz for computer storage. But this stuff was really expensive and had a lot of different components, many of them requiring quartz, which I had a very limited supply of. So I carefully allocated how much I needed and worked out if I put all of my remaining quartz blocks together and macerated them, I could get just enough for a 16k storage unit. The main things I needed were a controller to act as the brain of the system, a grid to access my stuff, and a storage unit to store it. This took me into day 53, when while making advanced processors, I ran out of diamonds. So down into the infected underground ravines I went. You know, I tell you, actually mining instead of just relying on the tunnel war had never been so dangerous. Not only were there a bunch of parasites everywhere, but because of how deep the infection was, I kept taking damage every few seconds I was on an infested block. It took me until the next day, but eventually I found enough diamonds, and I decided to leave the cave when I ran out of torches. I spent the next few days just making each of the components for the storage system, and making a room for it. Yeah, I ran out of marble for the walls, so just used cobblestone. I mean, it fitted in with everything else, right? Unfortunately, just as I was almost done, I ran out of slime. Now, I should have taken the helicopter, but I'll admit, I completely forgot about it. So I once again went on foot north, hoping to find more slime in the swamps. So, day 57, I travelled the long distance again, but just as night fell, a blood moon rose. I should have gone underground, like I had so many times before. But you know what? I said no. I'd been here for almost 60 days. 60 days. And yet, each time a blood moon happened, I had to go back into hiding. But even if I was far from base, I had a clone body. So it's not like I could die for real. And on top of that, I had a bunch of ammo. So I fought through the night. The small flying parasite guys almost killed me several times. If I'd fallen from the trees, I definitely would have lasted no more than a few seconds. I even ran out of normal ammo. But I still had quite a few shotgun shells. I would have struggled to fight back against the flying parasites without them. I've done it! Survived a blood moon. Once day came, I grabbed whatever loot I could from the dead enemies. Got myself another wrist bracer and even blades for it. Spent the day hanging around the swamps hunting aliens. Come night, I was hunting slimes. And then the following day, I just headed back. It was on day 60 that I finally got back. Made myself some more ammo, then got to work on making a storage disk. All that was left was powering the system, so I made some cables, a new furnace generator, and 2 electrical transfer nodes. Early day 61, I cleared out all of the chests and moved them into the storage system. All of it only took up 17%, so I figured I'd not have to worry about storage space for a long time. It made me realise just how much ore I had. So I made myself some electric furnaces so I could start smelting my backup of ore without having to take coal away from powering the storage system. I also wanted to increase my crop production. So on day 62, I got to work clearing out a room and setting up a farm. I finished it on day 63. Afterwards, I went through the end of the cave and replaced almost every block with cobblestone. Sure, it looked ugly and a mess, but it was my ugly mess. Plus, I didn't want to tear up the already placed cobblestone because of the infestation. The next day I thought, you know what? I might as well make a bedroom while I'm at it. Got myself this nice bed, and yes, I did use a golden block on it. Not wasted, used. Yeah, absolutely no idea how this took me an entire day. Probably because I was being an idiot and couldn't work out how to get the bed sheets working. I couldn't believe it, but I noticed on day 65 I had almost run out of cobblestone. So I went to my mining board to get more, but... well, the mining board had dug into somewhere weird. Taking one look down the hole, I figured if there was one alien, there was certainly more. So it would be better to wait until later to go in. In preparation, I got a nice new diamond tower shield and killed a bunch of magma dudes. What I really wanted though was one of those predator biomasks. But for that, I needed more artifacts. So I took my borrowed helicopter and flew out into the mountains. I spent that night and the next day hunting across the mountains and the surrounding woodland. Took out a skeleton spawner, and after a long time, got myself 2 artifacts and flew back. I'll admit it, the landing back at base was a bit rougher than I had hoped. Back inside, I used the Predator artifacts and my diamond helmet to make myself a biomask. Many of the Predators use these, and it's easy to see why. Apart from just giving good protection, it can also completely negate full damage, and to make it even better, it has 2 special vision modes on top of the normal one. The first special mode, electromagnetic, makes aliens glow, while thermal vision is, well, it's thermal vision. On day 69, I thought this cobble cave is really coming along. You know what it needs? Nuclear power! You see, so far all of my machines were being powered by coal and lava, which wouldn't be a problem if the caves weren't so infested with parasites. But with a nuclear reactor I could power my industrial craft machines easily. There were only a few problems. A nuclear reactor isn't exactly the cheapest thing to make and power, and it requires some careful planning. If not done right, the reactor could go critical and explode. The easiest way to protect against that is to surround it in reinforced stone. So I came up with a design for a reactor room. It was a bit bigger than it probably needed to be, but better safe than sorry. I made a crusher so that I could get 2 iron ingots for every piece of iron ore. Then, after some rough calculations, I worked out that I needed around 325 iron, just for the reinforced stone. So, taking the crusher into account, rounding up, I needed around 163. Minus the 42 ingots I already had, I needed 121 more iron. So I spent days 69 and 70 mining. At one point I died. Not really too sure how. I think some strong parasites spawned and just obliterated me. On day 71, I began processing the iron ore. The process was a bit slow, so I built a second crusher, then began digging the entrance to the reactor room. I didn't want it to be too close to everything else, so made a corridor and a working elevator to where the reactor would be. That took all day, and the following day I got a metal roller to begin making the scaffolds. The reason that I needed these is that reinforced stone cannot just be crafted. Instead, you need to put construction foam over iron scaffolding and wait for it to solidify. Making all of the scaffolding was taking a long time, so I made both a canning machine and some advanced alloys that took until day 73 to make. It was here I realised that while I was correct in how much iron I needed for the reinforced stone, I totally underestimated how much I needed for all the other machines involved in the nuclear power process. So I went back to mining. On day 74, I began working on a machine called a thermal centrifuge. As part of making it, I needed this crystal that required me to macerate my diamonds. I made that crystal and a bunch of other stuff all for a mining laser I would never use, that instead would be used to make the thermal centrifuge. Who knew that nuclear power was so complicated? It was also on this day I began making foam and made a spray gun for it. I'll admit, all this mining and stuff had got me bored, so on day 75 I went to deal with that weird place my tunnel bore had found. Okay, that looks like hive resin. That definitely was not there earlier. Luckily, I don't take full damage, but I still gotta be careful. Yeah. Okay, that went a lot more smoothly than I'd imagined. There. Right. Yeah, I think I killed it. Okay. Nope. Huh? Okay. Right, that went surprisingly smoothly. Is that everything? Is this smaller than I thought it was? Huh. Maybe I didn't need to spend all that time preparing. Oh. Ooh. Okay, nope, I definitely did need to spend that time preparing. Is there anything else on this floor? Ooh. Okay. I think that is... Yeah, okay. This is the same tunnel from earlier. What about this one? Luckily I can't take full damage, but I still want to be careful. Okay, good. The biomask protects me from full damage, so... That went well. What happened in here? Let's read this note. I've been running for what seems like days. They have overrun the base. We were only meant to be mining for engine supplies when we found this place. We had no idea we would see these... things. Harry, Jack and Beth all got taken by those monsters. I barely got away. I heard a scream from one of the tunnels. It sounded like Beth, but I could not get to her. I need to find a way out of here. I heard a loud bang today and hissing coming from somewhere. I've fallen down a pit into some black goo. Even if I find a way out of this pit, I think this is it for me. I think I'm dying. I drank some of the goo today. It tasted really nice, but I don't feel the same. It's as if something is growing inside me. There is something in here with me. It's calling my name. I need to find out where it is coming from. I mean, this person's definitely dead. And I'd say it's safe to assume the others are too. Good job I got my biomask, because who knows what this black goo would do to me. Probably the same as this guy. Right, we're going to go up and we're going to continue looking about. I think the only other thing in this area is the drop-down area into, like, the next floor. I got no idea how big this place is, but we will see. Okay. Yep, definitely an alien down there. Okay, so there's definitely more. We definitely haven't cleared this place out yet. I'm going to go around the other side and drop down. See if that works. Here's my big brain genius master plan. Okay, I'm going to drop down once that acid clears up. And there we go. Block off each way. Good job thing. Good thing too, because it's this dude. What is that? Is that grass? And a fire. Okay, that was close. Almost, I better swap to, electromagnetic. Stepped in the acid, stepped in the acid, stepped in the acid. So, one thing you really do not want to do, well, you know, in a tunnel, is step on acid, because that's going to murder me. What the hell is this place? I mean, clearly this is a hive of some kind, but what's up with this room? I mean, look at it. It's fine. Apart from the wall there, the hive just hasn't spread to this room. Look, you can even see that it stopped before the room. Okay, another one more at the end of the corridor. Is that? Okay, that's more black goo. Let's clear this way first. I'm going to start charging my gun before turning corners. Okay. Whoa, God, is that the... Okay, those are eggs. So I'd say it's safe to assume that's the queen. Run, 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 run. I'll come back to this place later. I'll make this the last place I go, probably. Because I really do not want to fight the queen. Okay. It's the rest of the floor. Is this another drop? Yeah. I'm not going to drop straight down. Like I said, I can't take full damage, but I'm not going to drop down because... I don't know what's down here. There's a thermal pickup. I can hear them. I can physically hear them. Okay, that looks like a wall. Just to be safe. That's the most terrifying, when you can physically hear them on the inside, but you can't. I don't think I've got a choice. I've got to drop down. Oh, it's spats. I'm guessing I was hearing the aliens upstairs then, and what is this room? Okay, so we got Ned, Jake, Beth, and Harry. And a dead end? Okay. I'm guessing this is where they were staying then? That guy from earlier? Because I recognise some of these names from the note, and, well, there are computers here, and beds. Ned's notebook. What does this say? Let's read it. Another day, another drama. If we are able to have something other than beetroot, that would be amazing. Harry has set up some kind of password chest. He won't give out the password to anyone. I think he is hiding stuff from us. I'm looking forward to the day I can leave this lab. It's been way too long down here. Something did happen today when we were getting the samples for the people back at the ship. We heard screams. I guess you can hear people scream after all. Okay, something big just happened today. The roof caved in. We've been telling the ship it was unstable for days, but did they do anything about it? Of course not. It'll be fine, Harry said. He thinks they will send someone, but everyone else thinks we are going to die down here. I saw where Harry is putting the password for the chest. Puts a book under his sleeping bag every night. It's got to be there. I'm putting this down so I don't forget. So future me, you're welcome. The power has gone out, and we can only see with the low power lights we have. They will go on for years. We are thinking of going out to look for Jake. I will take a different book with me. I don't want people to read this one. It's private. Okay, that's not creepy at all. So, I'm starting to get a better idea of what's going on here. But let's hold on to this note for now. Just in case. And it looks like Harry here has something under his bed. Yes, he does. What else can I put in here? We'll put the glass bowl. Don't need the alien armor. I can always come back for stuff. I can always come back. Doc has sent me down here with idiots. Beth and Jake can't keep their hands off each other, and Ned has never been the brightest in the room. I have set up my own chest with the password 5610. I can hide the stuff I was given by Dr. Porkchop. Doc Porkchop has told me the tunnel will cave in any day now. He wants me to sneak out, but if I do, they will know something is up. I have found out that Jake and Beth have been cheating on their partners. That's why they are down here. Let's hope nothing happens to them. Ned seems to think I am mean to him. To be fair, I am. It's hard being the smartest one in this tunnel. The tunnel has caved in. What an amazing event. Death is the only option for them now. I do what she wants. What the subject wants. I can hear it talking to me. She needs food. She needs food. Must send someone. Need to send someone. She needs food. She needs it now. I have sent Jake to his death, but she will be happy. I wonder how involved this Dr. Porkchop is with everything. Because clearly he knew this tunnel was going to collapse. He seems to have gotten a good idea what was down here, but what came first? The Goob or Dr. Porkchop? The aliens or Dr. Porkchop? That is a hell of a name. Okay, 1610 was it? No, what was it? 5610. Okay, 5610. Close. Ooh, okay, we got some good stuff here. Some more purified water. Ah, I'm not going to be able to take all this. Okay, I don't know if this is better than what I've currently got. I'm not sure if this is better than the wrist bracer, but I'm going to take it anyway. I'll find out later. I can always come back, right? Yeah, I can always come back if I need to grab more. Is there anything I can leave behind? Oh, I can combine these. Okay. What else do I want to take? No, I'll just leave a slot open. I'll come back with everything else. Right. There we go. That was quite a bit harder than I'd imagined it would be. Okay, let's keep going. I came from that way, I think. Oh, I need to check all of my corners. I think this just leads back around. Yeah, that's just a loop. Okay, let's go this way. Not really too sure what's going on with my helmet. Oh, I blocked that way off. Okay, so that's the way to the Queen. Okay, let's go back this way, see what there is. Oh god, okay. Okay, I wasn't paying attention. I was too focused on the hole in the floor. That almost got me killed. Oh god, okay, right. Let's just grab some more blocks. Perfect. Okay, me being distracted almost got myself killed, as always. This is a clone body, so it's not like... Oh, I stepped on it, of course I did. Well done, me. What I was saying is, this is a clone body, so it's not too much of a problem if I die, but I do still want to avoid that. Okay, looks like the acid is gone. Okay. I blocked off this way before, but I don't think I actually went this way. Actually, let's heal before we go, because I can very clearly hear aliens around the corner. Okay. Yep, that's right. I saw another one at the end of the corridor, but it's like gone around the corner. There's clearly some sort of room. Okay, just move carefully. Okay, no, there's acid here. I'll go around the other way. I'll check that room in a second. I just want to make sure there's definitely nothing like that. Okay. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. All biomasks. But these ones are different to mine. What is this place? It looks like a trophy room, but... I mean, xenomorphs don't make trophy rooms. So, clearly this was something before. I mean, look, there were neomorphs, xenomorph skulls here. Clearly, this was something before. Ooh. Okay. Dead end? Yeah, dead end. Okay, let's go down this way. Just to clear it out, just in case. Wait. That's a facehugger. Okay, that thing was surprisingly easy to kill. I mean, I say surprisingly, it's not like they're going to be really strong, but, you know. One hit from a facehugger and you are dead. Well, maybe not dead, but you will die eventually. I'm actually running low on food. I might need to go back to the little area and get more. Okay, that actually made me jump. Did not see that one coming around the corner. I know there's a xenomorph at the end of the corridor. Or at least I think there is. I'm pretty certain I saw one. Yep, that's one. Okay, wish me luck. Okay, they seem occupied defending the Queen. Just in case, let's walk this way up as well. Okay. Yep, knew there was one in here. Is that the only one? Okay, this looks clear. Oh. Okay, this looks like some sort of medical room? Because that's a med pod. What's in here? Oh, thank God, Doritos. The solution to my problems. Plus, I can clear up space by drinking water. More flamethrower fuel, more Doritos. Another grenade. Okay, that's good. I'll come back here for the rest later. Here goes nothing. What is that sound? Is that the water? I think that's the water. That is not water. What is this? There are more skulls up here. Are these xenomorphs or neomorphs? I'm not... Okay, that's worrying. Okay, once again, we'll clear this we'll clear this corridor at a time. Is that just yeah, that just looks like a tunnel. Let's keep moving. Doritos really don't fill you up for long, surprisingly. Okay. What? Oof. Okay. So this is some kind of cell area? Is there anything in these? No, these lanterns are actually quite cool. I might take them back with me. Okay, now that is cool. Does it? If I come back here. Oh, that is really cool. Bed and everything. Huh. Well, hey, if I need to get away from the aliens, I don't think this would hold them for long, but might hold them long enough for me to get a good shot in. Probably only one, though. Is there anything in here? Nah. Nothing in these rooms. That's a shame. Right, let's go. The only way left is straight ahead. Okay, that's the point. I think I've cleared everything now. Try and take these ones out. Let's be very careful with the drones before anything else. Being careful not to get the Queen's attention. Oh my... Okay, I did accidentally hit the Queen. I got no choice. Not that I was gonna, you know, not that I want to let her live to begin with, but... You see, I don't want to leave her alive to begin with, but I also don't want to go in the room. But what I do notice is, there is hive resin everywhere. Let's burn her. Burn them now. Die! Die! Okay. How much health does she have? I mean, it looks like the room's on fire. There we go. Oof, a lot of these rooms are collapsing. Off this nest. Oh wait, the hive's on fire. Ah. Have I just burnt down the entire place? I think I've burnt down the entire place. Let's get out of here. Oh, okay, that fire's spreading quicker than I thought it would. Okay, so the good news is I'm pretty sure I've killed everything in here. But I also just, you know, I can't take the risk of hive spreading. Oh. Just burn it all down. That's all that matters. up here. Now, I should have gone back to my cave immediately. I should have. Instead, I wanted to test my new boomerang, so went and did a small amount of mining and weapon testing. It was on day 77 that I actually got back to mining out the reactor room. I finished the initial chamber, so got to work on putting the scaffolding in, which I finished doing the following day. On day 79, I began to spray down the scaffolding with construction foam, so I could speed up the process of it solidifying, so I made a steel shovel and went into the desert. Well, the part of the desert that wasn't infested yet, which admittedly wasn't much. Days 80 and 81, I made the reactor and most of the non-radioactive components for it. It was on day 82 that I put on a hazmat suit, because it was finally time to make some uranium. To actually make the uranium ore usable, I first had to macerate it, then put it into the thermal centrifuge and use the parts of the uranium from it to make enriched nuclear fuel. Roll yourself some metal plates to get empty fuel rods, and then fill them with the enriched nuclear fuel, and you have yourself fuel rods that can be put into the reactor. While I didn't turn on the reactor yet, on day 83 I put the fuel rods into it, and began to place the reinforced glass and doors. In the worst case scenario of a reactor meltdown, these would hopefully prevent my base from being taken out in the blast. I'd begun to run low on rubber, so I spent the entire next day planting a bunch of rubber saplings and used bone meal to grow them. Then I removed the sap with a tree tap and destroyed the tree to extract rubber from the wood. Day 85 was when I finally wired up the reactor to the machine room, and then it was time for the moment of truth. I turned on the reactor, and it didn't immediately go boom, which, while I'm not an expert on nuclear power, I think is normally a good sign. Because of the distance from the reactor to the machine room, and the low amount of fuel in the reactor, it wasn't producing too much power, but at least it was constant, and something that I could fix at a later date. With the reactor built, and the nest dealt with, I was feeling pretty confident in myself, so I decided to go out and do some exploring and hunting. The first thing I found was a pyramid, which had a single spawner. Me being the idiot I am, I dropped my guard while looting, and almost died because of it. Later, I was travelling through the Mesa, where I found a series of mine shafts that I spent the rest of the day and a good chunk of day 87 exploring. I got quite a bit of good loot from it, including golden apples and diamonds. Also came across another grave, and since I'm not above grave robbing, I stole the bones to use for bone meal. The next day, I found myself in some defiled lands, where I spotted several altars. I'd seen these in the defiled lands near my cave before, but I never really paid them much attention. It seemed if I made some kind of special stone and used it on it, I could summon some kind of enemy to fight. I went down into the defiled caves to get the ores I needed, but as I left the cave, a blood moon began. It was chaos, but I just kept running. There were so many defiled land mobs swarming me. At one point, I'm pretty sure I saw an alien be killed by llamas. Once the blood moon was over, I grabbed some wild berries and meat and then headed home. I got back late at night on the 90th day. I went looking in the defiled lands where I first crashed for shamblers, which are these Endermen looking dudes with weird heads. While they walk extremely slow, they definitely pack a hell of a punch. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any, so went back home. Deciding it was time to break my old pickaxes, I went mining for iron. Using that iron, I made myself a rocket launcher and some ammo, then headed out to look for shamblers in other defiled lands. On day 92, I finally found some that dropped a black heart. Putting all the parts together, I was able to make myself a calling stone, and on day 93, I returned to the defiled lands where I first crashed, to use the calling stone on an altar. I almost died instantly when the destroyer was summoned, but with my guns I made short work of him. I spent the next few days mining, but on day 35, when I was coming back up from the mine, there was a loud bang. What was that? Is that just another creeper? I don't know. What? What the hell is that? Did it? Okay. Let's go and have a look. it was gone. My cobble cave. My home for the past 95 days. The only semi-safe place on the entire planet. I had spent so much time there, put so much work into it, and just like that, it was now a giant crater. You are not getting away. I am killing you here. This woman had tried to kill me multiple times, but I'd never cared too much. But now I wanted revenge. I only had what was on me, a small amount of ammo, food, and my wrist bracer. Despite this, I travelled for thousands of blocks. It was tough. I ran out of food early on, and had to survive off the limited animals. But by the night of day 100, I arrived. Wait, that's it? Finally, I'm here. It's time to end this. First off, let's scan. Okay, doesn't seem to be anything out here. I thought I was bad at landing. Okay, I got no idea what to expect, but no matter what, she dies. All of them are empty, okay. Huh, some kind of mess room? Canteen? It's definitely been here for... What is that? Okay. Wait. This is some sort of... I wonder which of these things came from this room. Because something definitely broke out of here. Is there anything in any of these? Doc Porkchop keeps on making the subject mad, causing it to lash out at the window. I feel like it will break free at some point. I don't know why, but I feel sorry for the subject, ripping it from its home to experiment on it. There has been talk among the crew of the booster failing. The doc was messing with something this morning, and I think it has had an impact on the subject. It appears to be less mad at him now. Whatever he is doing is working. I haven't updated in a while, but the doc has started to go into the subject's chamber more often the last couple of days. Today was different though. He was in there longer, then suddenly started to shout at the subject. He said something like, "I hate it when you do this. I give you everything you want, and this is what you do to me." The thing I found odd is that the subject never even moved. I don't know if I should tell someone about what is happening. Today the doc took a computer into the chamber and left it in there. No one knows what is on the computer, but when Beth asked what he was doing, he had blood red eyes. I think some of us are planning to report this to the captain. Thank heaven that I woke up late today. Some of the other researchers were planning to see the captain about what has been going on, but apparently they didn't. The doc got the rest of us together to tell us that they will not be joining us anymore. Something about working on a special project. The thing is, we could see bones in the chamber with the subject. We all want to tell the captain, but no one is going to take that risk again. The doc has given me a birthday gift. I get to go into the chamber with the subject. I don't know if I should do it. Doc says I'll get to feed the subject, which will be interesting.
So this is where it all started then? Or at least, I think it is? The fact I haven't bumped into anyone yet is worrying. What is this? Up we go. Huh. Looks like some sort of armory.
Made it after all.
Yeah, after you blew up my base.
Had to be done, but I guess it's all pointless now. It's not my fault, it really isn't. We all had an idea, but only Dr. Porkshock knew all the details. When the ship crashed, his subjects and the bioweapons that got loose and started to spread across the world. He told me he could get the ship working again. If I sent teams to go mine very specific types of ore. The world was not even supposed to have vehicles yet. There was that facility. The doc was obsessed with it. He kept surveillance on it. The place is overrun. He went to go and check it out. When he didn't come back, went to go get him.
So that's what you were doing there.
Yeah.
Why try to kill me then?
Don't get it, do you? If anyone finds out what happened here, blame will be on me and my crew. I can't let that happen. If the wrong people find this place, they'll want to weaponize these things. It's too late now. After our fight, came back to find all of the remaining crew dead. Turns out the doc was never planning to get the ship working. He was just turning it into some sort of portal place. Worked out how it works. I'm going to use it to get out of this hellhole.
You know what? You're right. No one should get their hands on these things. That's why I'm going to use my wrist bracer here to nuke this ship and its lab off the face of the planet. No way you didn't know exactly what he was doing. I saw the lab. You must have known something was wrong. Plus, you were the captain. If you had no idea about your crew disappearing, then that's just incompetence.
I guess. It's my answer to that.
Huh? Oh. Oh, my head. Where'd she go? She's not getting away. There you are. Don't even think about it. No! You are not getting away!